Hello, my name is Don, and welcome to episode 28 of Follow my Football Manager Let's Play with Rangers. So, this is just going to be an end of season review. I've skipped forward a couple of days from the end of the last episode just to do it. It's not really going to be anything more than that. So, going to go through all the stats and various things. This is for all competitions. So, most appearances is John McGinn with 55 and 3 off the bench, which is just crazy. I think a player plays 58 games almost in a season. James Tavernier second with 47, Sasso with 46, one off the bench. That was at right back when I was trying to rest him, and whoever was at right back, I think it was Ronan Miller that game, picked up an injury. Jordan Rossiter with 45, one off the bench. McCrory with 45, Lee Wallace with 44, and Zach Rudden with 41 and 7 off the bench. Goals: Running leads the way with 25. Jamie Walker second despite being injured for a chunk of the season. Taiwo got frozen out in January but still managed 13. Chris Willock scored 12. Barry Mackay 11. James Tavernier 11. Matthew Knox will ignore because he's on loan. McGinn with 6 and Ryu with 5. And Texeria with 5 as well. Posibon scored 4 in a number of games, but a lot of them were off the bench as well. But I think this also highlights how important the players that we were missing were in that cup final. When you look at the amount of goals scored by 4 of the players we were missing, is you're talking 50 goals missing there really. 11, 22, 34, 49, yeah, so 49 goals missing in our cup final team, which is frustrating. Assists wise, Barry Mackay leads the way with 15. McGinn second with 9, joint with Chris Willock. Tavernier on 8, Ryu with 7, and Texeria with 6, along with Rossiter. Rudden also chipping in with 5 to add to his 25 goals, sorry. Man of the matches, James Tavernier got 7, Barry Mackay with 6, Sasso with 5, and then a few with 3. I won't go too much into. Pass completion, now this is an important stat for how we play. Ben Sheaf, obviously on loan, costing us absolutely nothing. Played 10 games with 8 of those off the bench though, with 91%. Rossiter also 91%. McGinn and Texeria with 90. Vasilius makes 2 appearances off the bench for 89%. Jordan Thompson not playing much, so I'm not going to look at him. Although he did play more than Vasilius, again 89%. Jamie Walker with 88. And just sort of good, nice to see some decent high pass possession stats there. Obviously further lower down the list it's a bit worrying. McCrory, for whatever reason, he was still kicking when I've changed his distribution. Tackling, or is this tackles per game maybe? Yeah, tackles per game. So Scott Martin leads the way for that, although with a lower volume than anyone else. Ronan Miller again similar. Rossiter and Jack Thompson, decent amounts with 2.59 and 2.69 respective. Tavernier with 2.34. Further down it's a bit worrying, there's not a centre back in that top amount. You have to go all the way down to just 2 per game for Devlin, 1.81 for Wallace, and 1.72 for Sasso, although Sasso is very good at interception, so maybe doesn't need it. So shots, Brian Davidson of all people with 100%. Has to be shots, no, it's shots on target. So our backup left back, who's played 19 games and one off the bench, has 100% record of putting the ball on target. Very interesting stat that. Martin Naismith we're going to ignore, he's not played enough game time really. Zach Rudden at 64%, which is okay, given that he'll have a higher amount of shots than everyone else. Other than that, I think we just need to look at league stats. So, Rafe have avoided relegation, who has gone down. Are you going to let me see stages, please? And current season, yes. League table. So Ross County have gone down. Rafe have avoided the drop through the relegation playoff. Season preview, we were 13-4 apparently. Rossiter's now came into the team of the year. This was all Celtic at the start of last season. I don't even know who Pad is. Who's Pat? Celtic goalkeeper. He must have been injured for that last couple of games. But Ozturk in there, Rossiter now in there as well. Shinny broken from Aberdeen, and Yankto as well from Hibernian. If you look at the key players list, it obviously says we've got Ozturk and Ryu, who I wouldn't call them key players. I think both of them were fighting for positions this year. When you compare to people like Sasso, Tavernier, who were and Rossiter, who were almost undroppable for us, I would say they were our three key players over those two. Although I suppose those two are maybe worth more. I don't know. Maybe have a higher reputation or whatever. Team details. Let's go to that. So possession, we have the highest average possession, 58% possession, with a pass accuracy of 80%. I don't think anyone even has a higher pass accuracy. The percentage there, nope. So that is just insane. I think it's equal by a team that had a lot less possession, but although the Hibs did have more passes, or is it pass completion? They've had more passes completed than us, so maybe we have more dribblies. Penalties taken, we had 7, we scored 7. Headers 1, I'm not interested in that. Headers 1 ratio. Yellow cards and red cards we'll have a look at. So we're 4th for yellow cards, which is a bit worrying, but 52 isn't too bad. And red cards, we were 2nd with 4. I can't even remember who all got sent off. I still feel aggrieved at that Ozturk won. Form we'll not look at. Games without losing we'll not look at, because that's obviously 2 now. Minutes since last goal. Hamilton, 300 minutes since they last scored a goal, and they were in the relegation playoff. That is absolutely insane. Anyway, let's ignore that because that's another irrelevant stat. So goals scored, 85. We lead the way of that by a long margin, almost 19 ahead of the next highest scorers, which is just insane to think. Cross completion, that's just such an irrelevant stat as well, so it's not really. Goals from corners, we lead with that with 11. Goals from direct free kicks, we had 7. Didn't score many in the back part of the season. We scored 7 in about, I'm sure when I last covered this we had 7. So I don't know if free kicks have maybe been given a nerf or not. Pass completion ratio we've already covered. Passes completed, we're 2nd behind Hibs, although we have more possession, so take that for what you will. Shots on target, we have the highest in the league with 47%, only just to be fair. Shots on target, Hibs have the most, which is interesting. Fouls against, we are the most fouled team in the league by what looks like a big margin, so by just controlling the ball, I guess. Conceded, we're the 2nd best defensive team in the league, just 2 worse than Celtic. I think part of that's McCrory is not maybe as good as what I was hoping him to be. Jack Thompson came in towards the end of the season, although that was when our form went, so I'm not really sure what to make of that. Might have to look at other goalkeeping options. Centre backs, I think we've got two or three of the best in the league, so it's difficult to see us improving there. Left backs maybe our weak point. Conceded from corners, we are 2nd worst. 2nd best with 2 conceded. Conceded from indirect free kicks, we are joint worst. Frustrating. Clean sheets, we have 14, which is 4 worse than Celtic, who had 18. Of course, a few of those are against each other. I think we had a good few draws this season. Celtic won though. I know we had certainly 2 0-0s in a row there. I think the one before that was a draw as well, and Celtic won the first game. Penalties conceded, we have conceded 5, which is fairly bad. Average attendance, we are 2nd to Celtic by 31 people. Given that we've got a capacity of less than 10,000 less, that's fairly good going. Average attendance by capacity, as you can see, we are quite comfortably joint top there. Hearts just slightly beating us by sellouts. Stadium sellouts, we had 9, Hearts had 12, and Celtic only had 2, which I assume was us. Net transfer spend, we've spent 2 million compared to everyone else making a bit of money or just spending a little bit here and there, so again I'm not too worried about that. I've invested a lot in youth this season, of course, and salary, we are at a lot less than Celtic, who are starting to reduce their budget as we are starting to rise ours, of course. So that's that. Player detailed, we'll just go through a couple of these. So I think we'll just start with goals. So Jason Cummins, top goal scorer. Lee Griffiths 2nd. Zach Ruddens are top with 13. 1 behind Joe Garner, who we sold, and a long way behind Joe Dodu, who also scored, who we also sold. Sorry, but nonetheless, I think Rudden will develop better. Average minutes per goal, Rudden is 4th. Willock up there as well as Jamie Walker in the top 6. So nice to see. Dodu beats us. No sign of Garner there though, which is interesting. But yeah, again, fairly happy with that. Shots on target. Zach Rudden, best in the league. I said 68%, probably was okay. But he's the best in the league, I assume. Try to think. You'd think that Brian Davidson's best in the league, but he's maybe only had 1 or 2 shots and it's probably been in a cup game, so never mind. Penalties, Barry Mackay scored 4 out of 4, somehow ended up on our penalties this year. Assist, Barry Mackay leading the charts there over Florian Keynes of Celtic. Key passes, now this is an interesting one. Thing is, we have so many passes that I would call a lot of them key passes. Nonetheless, Barry Mackay sitting only joint 5th, Jamie Walker joint 9th, Dominus Quina leading the way for that specific one. Pass completion ratio, Jordan Rossiter joint top with 91%. Made more key passes and done it in less appearances, so I'm not sure why he is second there. He's got more key passes and more assists than Fraser Fivey, who he's level with, so take that for what you will. Nonetheless, he's top of there. Cross completed offsides, we're not worrying too much about them. Conceded, Roddy McCrory done the best in the league, and Jack Hamilton in third, so positive for our goalkeepers there, I guess. Neither of them obviously topping the clean sheet charts because, well, they didn't play. Certainly the second half of the season they were sort of in and out of the team as I sort of tried to work out who was the best. Scott Bain down there as well. Obviously he's now left the club for Birmingham. And other than that, I think that's everything covered for this. I'll bring you back when the next sort of review bit comes, and I'll just go through that quickly. I think that'll be about the 27th of June. So we'll bring you back then, and then the next episode will be the transfer roundup episode. So just before we get to that, we've got some new sponsors coming in. A new kit sponsor worth 1.1 million. Previous deal was 400k, so that's good. That's more money coming in. Sponsorship's actually down on last season, so I don't know if other sponsors have back. Well, other sponsors obviously expired because our kit sponsor is now better. Corporate hospitality is up. Match day and commercial retail is up, which is good. Broadcasting revenues is obviously up, and competition prize money is up. Obviously, we have had the Champions League. So, oh wait, this is this season on compared to the previous season. Sorry. So total merchandise sales for the season were 3.97, with non-domestic sales counting for 395k. So about 10% was abroad, and 30,000 shirts were sold. That's actually quite low for Rangers. I'm not sure how this is worked out in game, but I suppose realistically now, with the current situation between Rangers and their retail partners, which I won't go into, it is probably realistic. But particularly when Rangers retail was running well, they were selling about 500,000 shirts. But Ryu, Texeria, Rudden, McGinn and Mackay are the 5 best sellers. Ryu obviously being the best. Nice to see Rudden up there, our new number 9, because obviously he didn't get a lot of game time in the previous years, and he was a guy that was promoted to the first team, so it is really nice to see him being our sort of third sort of name. But Texeria justifying his position in the club. What's his value now? I know we signed him for next to nothing. So we signed him for 120k. He's already worth 1.7 million. So what a signing he's turned out to be, and he's got obviously brought in a lot of commercial sales. So the work on the training facilities has been confirmed. The youth and training facilities going to cost around 4.2 million. We don't need any external funding. Our overall balance has dropped to 10 million, but part of that, I think part of it's like a 6 million tax bill. Can go back through all this as well actually. Right, we'll go through this first, but I'm sure there was a tax bill as well. So, Runn's development's looking good. Rangers player inducted into the overall best 11. So, Zach Rudden was a pick of the players, having accumulated 55 appearances, scored 31 goals at an average of 7.09. Jack Thompson, Jerry Texeria, Jamie Walker, Roddy McCrory, Ryu, and Ali Ozturk were the other players to become part of Rangers' great history. So this is our overall best 11 of Bain, Wallace, Tavernier, Sasso and Devlin, McGinn, Jack Thompson in there over Rossiter, surprisingly, Maitland Niles, Barry Mackay, Chris Willock and Joe Garner. End of season rewards: Tavernier voted Player of the Year, Ozturk second and Sasso third. Ben Sheaf against Galatasaray getting goal of the season. Declan Rice, surprisingly, I don't think he played that much. 10 games he played before that deemed signing of the season. And young player of the season being Barry Mackay, which surprises me a little bit. I wouldn't call 24 young player of the season anymore. This is our sort of competition. So we won the league, lost in the final at Hibernian, won the Betfred Cup, knocked out in the first knockout round of the UEFA Cup, and knocked out of the Champions League at the group stages. So where was it? There was something about taxes and shareholders payout. Here we go. Yeah. So shareholders decided to take 5 million. Twats. And we were hit with a tax bill of 6.75 million. So 10 million out of the club, out with my control. Another 4.2 million there. I hope that's now paid for. But it says it'll take 8 months to complete. So let's have a look. Board in progress. Yeah. So that's now done. So that's 14 million or something. It's just went out the club. 14-15 million. It's went out the club there and then. We still have 10 million in the bank, so we're in decent shape. Ryu's called up for the something or other, but for South Korea, no chance of you getting done. And Jason Cummins scouting started. That's fine. I'm just trying to convince him in. So that sort of covers this bit, I think. Again, I will be back with the full end of season review in just a minute. So just as we're going through everything, new coefficients have came through. We've obviously went up 4 leagues in the European coefficients table, and that means that we get one team automatically into the group stage next season, and one team into the best place third qualifying phase. So that means coming second can still get us Champions League football now. So that's a positive thing. Europa League, we get one directly into the group stage, so that's positive for the country as well. One team in the third qualifying round and one team in the second qualifying round. So again, positive steps. If we have a look at Europe and coefficients, we will see we should be about 12th. Apparently not. Qualification places, yeah, we're 12 here. Not quite sure how that works differently, nonetheless, so there we are. And we have jumped into the spot that allows that. We've actually jumped the spots that would get us qualifying spots, so we've had a very good account of ourselves in the last couple of years in Europe. Obviously, Aberdeen and Celtic going to the knockout stages of the UEFA Cup 2 years ago was a boost. Us in the Champions League, and then both us and Celtic getting into the knockout stages of the UEFA Cup this year, obviously helping that. So we're now knocking on the door in the same place as Belgium, the Netherlands and Turkey in terms of qualifications. Well, we're one less than Turkey, sorry, but nonetheless, still a very good place to be. The next sort of up would be 6, which is a long way off, so I don't expect to be talking about that too much. I suppose there is an up when you get to 9th, but it's not that huge a difference, so it's just one extra qualifying place in the Europa League. But hopefully again we can start knocking towards there in the next couple of seasons, if us, Celtic and Hibs can do a good account of ourselves in Europa League and Champions League respective. Obviously having 2 teams in the Champions League would help that. And so we're back now with the sort of the games end of season review, which will just go quite quickly. Top goal scorer is Jason Cummins. Top assisters, Barry Mackay. Highest average rating is James Tavernier for the 2nd year in a row. We've apparently been the biggest overachievers this season, thanks to results like a comfortable 4-0 win of Kilmarnock. We expect to beat Kilmarnock fairly comfortably, but nonetheless, we finished first, 1 place above our pre-season expectations. Tavernier was a joy behold, while Jamie Walker's proved to be one of the signings of the season. Aberdeen were the biggest underachievers, not surprising, finishing 7th. And yeah, basically we are the champions. Of course, Ross County going down. The best match was us versus Hibs, which was a 1-1 draw. So into the thing, covered most of that. Joe Garner and Joe Dodu is the two signings of the season. Ironically enough, and a player coming from us is also the worst signing of the season, being Andy Halliday for 250k. I assume he's had a bit of a 6.75 is not overly bad. Dundee United are coming back up at the expense of Ross County. Alloa and Airdrie both going down in the Championship. Ryan Hardy getting top goal scorer, another player that we sold. He also got part of the signing of the season. Ironically enough, Rory Loy came through the ranks at Rangers a number of years ago as also a signing of the season. St Mirren returned to the Championship, as well as Falkirk. Brecon and Annan going down to League 2. No real names that I know there. Craig Story I've heard of before to an extent. And Martin Boyle, obviously ex-Hibs. Queen's Park, the amateur team, promoted from League 2, with Queen's Park and are both also going up, nobody going down from that league. Scottish Cup won by Hibs, top goal scorer Jason Cummings, hardly surprising, the man scored 4 goals in the final. Top assists, Graham Taylor of Cowdenbeath. Highest average rating, 9.16 in 5 games. That is just insane. I did make a bid for him. It was clear from very early on that no deal was going to be done. Sadly, Hibs were wanting in the region of 14 million for him, and I'm just not paying 14 million for a player. Even though he scores so many goals against us, he has quality stats round the board. He's just not a £14 million player. Graham Taylor, most assists. Edinburgh University, the biggest overachievers. Celtic, the biggest underachievers. So Edinburgh University, of course. I believe, no, it might be Stirling University. Whatever league they're in anyway, there's a team with University that are managed by, I think, the first female to manage in Scotland of a team that's considered professional, even though they're not a professional team. We won the Betfred Cup, top goal scorer for Declan McManus of Dundee United. Andrew DeCall getting the most assists for Hamilton. And Aleem Ozturk getting the highest average rating, of course playing for Hearts at that point. East Fife are the biggest overachievers, the biggest underperformers are Ayr, Iron Bruce Cup. I'm not going to really focus too much on that. European qualification, us, Hibs and Celtic. And Hearts, as well. So hopefully all four, it's our 4 strongest teams going into Europe really, so hopefully we can do that. Hopefully Aberdeen come and get 5th next season and take that other European spot. Continental achievements, so Dundee out fairly early on, Hibs out at the playoff by Standard, assume that's Standard Liège. Yes it is, so maybe expect them not to do that. We obviously went out of the group stage of the Champions League, but we were the biggest overachievers in the Champions League, which I was a bit surprised at. Of course, we nearly went through to the last 16, or at least it was mathematically possible in the last game, but we still only picked up 6 points, I think it was. We were knocked out by Galatasaray off from the Europa League, and Celtic also knocked out at the same stage by Lyon. I got Manager of the Year, Players Manager and Writers Manager of the Year. PFA Player of the Year was Jason Cummings. Scottish Footballer of the Year was James Tavernier. Scotland's top goal scorer we've already covered was Jason Cummings. PFA Young Player of the Year was Chris Wallach. And Writers Young Player of the Year was Jason Cummings. So that sort of rounds that off. And that will round off this episode. Bit of mixed transfer reviews to go into. Well, transfers to discuss, so I won't go too much into that again. I've got an episode for that coming up. Friendly wise though, we have a tour of Germany, which will see us play Dortmund, Red Bull Leipzig. I'm not actually how. The Red Bull team from Germany anyway. Aberdeen at a neutral venue now. I seen there was other touring teams, and Aberdeen were one of them, and we have a fierce rivalry with Aberdeen, and I thought, you know what, it might just be good to have a sort of a derby in a different country. Might help raise the profile a bit. I did want, and then we've got Schalke as well, sorry. I did want to have a Chinese or American tour. Unfortunately, the board will refuse to sanction it, so that's why the friendlies with the affiliate clubs of those countries are not there. Then we have a friendly away to our feeder team Linfield before a Champions League tie against either Havnar something or other or Burkarina or Burkirkara. I don't know, I'm going to struggle pronouncing either of those names. I will be back. That will cancel the Arsenal game, unfortunately, and probably the Campus Lang Rangers game. Nonetheless, then we will face Juventus before Campus Lang Rangers, which probably gets cancelled as well, and then East Kilbride. Arsenal and Juventus were sort of the ones to try and get the money spinning, because I think we're going to lose money on the top 4 friendlies. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to lose one of them, but it's a difficult thing when you're trying to qualify for the Champions League. Of course, next season, if we can win the league, we go straight into the group stage, so we can have all the friendlies in the world we want. Nonetheless, I'm going to end this episode here. I will be back with a transfer review when we get to our Champions League game. We'll then play that Champions League game in the following episode after that, and the Champions League double header, and hopefully we can qualify again. But that is it for this end of season review. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much. A like and subscribe is always appreciated if you did, and I'll hopefully catch you all next time.